Tony Hawkins has got a podcast. I hope he's better at this than he is washing the kit, because he was fucking useless.
Right, well, that was a laugh, wasn't it? Oh.
Yeah.
Absolute fucking useless. Really was.
That was...
Not what I was expecting, Tony. Not what I was expecting at all.
I think we can probably say that, you know, if you're going to have a run like we did...
Have it at the beginning of the season, not at the end.
Well, you know, maintain it to the end of the season. But we had to lose at some point.
We did,
but the way that we did it, bad decisions, silly mistakes.
I'll tell you what I have learned, Tony, this week. You want to know what I've learned? Do you know who's shit at football, Tony? Dean Lewington, that's who's shit at football. And do you know where I've learned that, Tony? I've learned it on the internet, Tony. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I did see that.
I don't know if you're aware of the internet, Tony.
I don't know why he just didn't let that ball go over his head for Sheffield Wednesday's third goal. That is a mystery.
I feel a bit stupid, Tony, to be quite honest, because I have been on this very podcast saying how good he was, when all along he was a bit shit. I feel really, really stupid. It's almost as if, Tony, that I don't know what I'm talking about, doesn't it, really?
Well, yeah. But then, what else would you expect?
What can you expect?
You can't know everything.
No.
But you can always never be wrong, as in my case.
In your case, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't great, was it? You can say what you like, but Barry Bannon's goal was a thing of wonder. It really was. I thought, oh, that's a good goal, mate.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is the sort of thing that I would sort. If that was me, I would have done exactly the same thing. There's never any thought in my head of anything else. And I tell you what, he would have been there on the off chance that actually happened, and it did. And I've said it for years on this podcast, years and years and years. If you stay in the right position, eventually one of those will come to you. He's still got to finish it, obviously, and the goalkeeper has got to be off his line. But I mean, when it comes down to it, Louis headed the ball. I don't think he needed to. He was stretching for it. We made mistakes. I mean, without those mistakes, who knows? We've won the game, haven't we?
We have. I mean,
think about it.
I was speaking to someone at work who's got a season ticket, ironically enough, and he was saying he didn't go at the weekend. He went somewhere else.
Yeah.
But his lad went, and he's like, I was talking to him the other day, and he goes, "Oh, my lad said we were the better team." I don't think we were better than Sheffield Wednesday. I thought it was about. I think
the first half they went for us, and I mean they went for us.
They really did, yeah.
And they did a very good job of going for us. And I just don't think we were ready for that. And you could point to the crowd and say that maybe that had an effect, because, as we both know, they are. I mean, for me, they're without doubt the loudest fans.
I didn't go, to be quite honest. I watched it from home.
Did you? What, the Sheffield Wednesday?
Yeah. Should I tell you why I didn't go?
Why?
Do you remember? Yeah. Do you remember we had the? Do you remember I had the dog kennel in the garden?
Yeah.
Well, I've knocked that dog kennel down during lockdown, and I built a bar. 3 of the dogs died, so I just, I thought, fuck it. So I knocked it down and I built a bar, and it's got 2 fridges in it. I put electricity, lights and everything. Lovely, it really is smashing. So I've got 2 fridges for beer. And Saturday afternoon, I'm loading it up. We bought a load of beer. I mean, spent a fortune, Guinness, lager and everything. And I'm sticking all my Guinness in it. And of course I'm, positioning it so, so they all look symmetrical and nice. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, it wasn't that long ago when we were really, like it was a busy game, that they'd ran out of Guinness in Lewington's bar. And what they did was they sent someone across to Asda to buy a load of draft Guinness. And they were charging, I think it was either $5.50 or it was $5.75 for a can of Guinness. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I've got 24 cans of Guinness here. This game's on the telly. It's a beautiful night. I've built a bar. I can just stay at home, put my feet up and drink. So that's what I did. I didn't go. I watched it on the telly.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, they as I said, their fans, home and away, loudest I've ever encountered every time. But I don't think that would necessarily have an effect. But there was we were definitely jittery in that first half, and we suffered for it because
we looked a bit shell-shocked, didn't you think?
Goals. We did, yeah. And I mean, they did a job on us. And second half, we were much, much better again. Yeah. But you know, it could have ended up 3-3.
Could have done. Or 2-2 would have been a fair reflection if Louis hadn't given your man that goal. But like you say, he's still got to finish it, hasn't he? You know, Cumming hasn't made a mistake all season. I know.
And I don't know if it was just too much power behind it, or he thought he had it and then dropped it. I don't know, but you know, that was a sign of things to come in that first half, and we really suffered badly. And I've never seen our players out of sorts like that. Not this team, anyway, and certainly not recently. But we got it together second half, and we played much better, and we defended much better, and we didn't really give them a look in. But we lost the game.
We did. Which was
Rotherham won. The worst game of football I've ever seen.
I didn't watch it. I watched all of them. I watched that and I watched...
God, it was absolutely terrible, wasn't it? Awful.
I thought to myself, fuck me, won't this just end? You know, you just please end this football game now. I don't think they scored, didn't they?
You know? By the way, plucking it at Ipswich now cannot get into the playoffs.
Well, Tony, that's pleased me for my house hunting front.
Chose. Sort the furniture out.
Well, I was thinking we could do
a house in Winslow, mate. In Winslow.
What I think we should do, I was thinking we should get rid of the boiler and go for one of those ground pump things, you know.
Well, you're the expert in this area, so
I've got a.
You know, whatever you want to do with the heating and the
I'm your man there.
and whatever it is,
that's what we should
whatever
do.
else you do with
It'll save us a lot of money, Tony. But having said that, we'll have a lot of money to throw about, because we won't be paying any rent or mortgage or anything.
We could just sell the place and then, you know, buy some magic beans.
Could do. I'm going to donate all my profits to MK Don's Academy. That's what I'm going to do.
So I'm thinking a house in Winslow's got to be upwards of
cheap, not Tony.
$250,000 at the very least. It's a lovely area.
I wonder if he's on Twitter, this bloke. Why don't we just put it on Twitter? Are you the guy that bet your house that you'd make the playoffs? Can we have your house, please?
We know his first name, I think. Was it Adam? It was Adam, wasn't
it?
Idiot. Very, you could see he'd clearly not let his head clear before sending that text. But a bet is a bet, and you can't welch on a bet.
Look back on it, Tony.
You cannot welch on a bet. You are now homeless, unless you've got another home somewhere.
I hope he's not married with kids and all that. I'd feel really guilty for about 5 minutes.
Listen, it's not. He shouldn't. We shouldn't gamble his house. Then, should he?
Don't gamble, Tony. Never. I've never gambled.
Don't gamble your house away, you plum. But it's ours now, so make us an offer. I tell you what, we'll give you it back for half price.
That's fair, isn't it? I think that's fair. We can't say fairer than that. We're nothing if not honourable men, Tony, me and you. Honestly.
Well, exactly, and I'm thinking that is a very generous offer.
They were just another team that came down into League One and just thought that they'd piss it, basically.
Well, you were absolutely right at the time, and they did have their chances, but you said, and I quote, I can remember anyway, you will not get in the playoffs playing the way that you do, and you were absolutely right.
You just don't know about League One, do they? They've been in League One before, but that was must be 20 years ago, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You know. But
now
Wednesday,
we've got Derby coming down as well, so next season we've got Derby, possibly Sunderland, possibly.
Well, we might not be in it, Tony. I'm hoping we won't be playing these teams next year, you know? You think?
I know. Again, I'm thinking, I mean, it's not even worth looking at the table now, is it? Because we know what needs to be done.
Yeah, we do.
We have to better. Well, I mean, this is without Rotherham having played their game in hand either. So
we've still got a game in hand. I mean, I was watching Did you go to Oxford or did you watch it on the internet?
No, I didn't go. I've got a bloody puncture on my car, and I went to put the spare wheel on it. Turns out I haven't got one.
Oh dear, I want that, do you?
Nor have I got a jack, nor have I got a wheel brace. I've got a handy can of foam and an air compressor.
Oh, that happened to me once. Like,
but what they have given me is like a little a metal rod that to wind up the jack that they haven't given me.
That's good. We've got
With
run
my
flats
brand
on
new
our
car.
car. Have you not got run flats? We've got them. But if you get a puncture...
this thing is like pancake flat.
Oh, right, that's not good, is it?
I'm going to put the old foam in and pump it up and see if it stays up.
The best. That ruins the tyres, doesn't it?
Judging by the look of it, it's completely and utterly flat. So
yeah, I just watched it on the internet. It's the Oxford. I don't know if you want to see anything else about Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, Barry Bannon, when they went down, I can't think where I read it. I either read it or I was listening to a podcast where they were saying people were amazed that he stayed at Wednesday when they went down because he was, he could have walked into any championship team and looking at him.
Money then, isn't it?
Yeah, you just think, mate, you are a good player. I mean, he is a good player. I mean, really is. But that's what it is.
Yeah, I would imagine it can only be the money. I mean, even if you had to take a pay cut, I'd still imagine he was.
Yeah, better than
I did read someone had said that he's on 25 a week. But
Fucking hell.
I don't know if that's true or not. But either way, he stayed for a reason.
Yeah,
it generally isn't loyalty, especially after relegation. So I can only imagine that it's for the money.
Well, good luck to him. He scored his goal. It was a good goal. I don't like him, obviously, for obvious reasons, but I won't go into it on here. But,
last night it was fantastic. It was very similar to the game at our place. We were the better team in the first half.
We were brilliant and we were astonishingly good in the first half.
Second half, we lost it again.
It was literally, to use the old cliche, if someone says, this thing, a game of two halves, what's all that about? I would have said, watch this.
Watch exactly that one and watch the game at our place. And the interesting thing about this is Carl 5 years ago would not have changed his formation or the way his team played at half time because he didn't have, he was very much about the plan A, plan B thing. What's the point of having a plan B if plan A is the right way to play?
I remember him saying, why do they all... What's this plan B thing? Why do they always ask what my plan B is? And I remember him saying that.
Yeah. Well, he seems to have changed his mind about
it
that now.
Oh, it was immensely irritating.
Changed things up. And they weren't really that much better than us second half either.
They weren't better in the... Well, I mean...
They were better, but compared to the way that we played in the first half, obviously he had to change his formation to combat us having the freedom of the pitch. But again, we didn't score. But to say that, we did have some very, very good chances. There was one, was it McEachran, I think, was a toenail away from putting it in the net. In fact, looking at the replay, it looked to me as if his foot may have even gone over the ball because I just can't work out how he missed it. But
in the first half, I think Louis had a shot from distance, didn't he?
It was a bit disappointing, really, because usually he's very accurate for those, but it was good height for the keeper, Sam. It wasn't particularly, wasn't travelling at any great speed.
I mean, the keeper just
the fact that he had a shot is a revelation in itself, and this is something that he couldn't do in the second half. The fact that he was in that position to have that shot anyway is a major revelation.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the first time he'd been in that position in the first half. He was drifting in a fair bit, and the second half, whatever Carl did, as I say, it worked because then Louis was basically restricted to staying where he would normally play. And
I'll tell you what we have forgotten to talk about, Mo Isa.
Oh, yeah, bless him.
That's not good news, apparently. Is it an ankle, right?
Yeah, I mean, and Wickham's injured as well, I hear. So, I thought it worked all right on Tuesday night, but it was clear that
I thought Boateng did all right.
Run out of steam very quickly because
he was running about a lot, wasn't he, Boateng? I mean, he was making an effort.
You can't run around the pitch like that for 90 minutes, and certainly not when you're not a regular starter. No. So he faded very quickly.
But he did all right, initially, didn't he? He was making himself a real nuisance, wasn't he? Because they were obviously not expecting to come up against someone like that just ran about all over the place.
He was winning that second ball. He was winning the ball back off their feet. And that is what we're good at, is winning that second ball. And once we start to lose out on those second balls, that's when we get into trouble. And we couldn't play the same game in the second half, and we just seemed to be a bit stuck with where to go with it. But again, we had chances, and I think overall 0-0 would have been a fair result. But
it was really annoying, obviously, because
it was, again, the goal was a mistake.
I know.
Again, two mistakes, really.
I mean, the goal. Well, there was that time. Oh, what's his name?
Harry Darling let it through his legs.
Sake, remember that? Thinking there was someone.
I mean, where was it? The ball was travelling at an angle that it was not going towards. It was going towards a corner flag, if anywhere. Harry Darling was outside the penalty box. I really don't know where he thought Cumming was.
I mean, my lad came round to watch it, and we were going. He must have got a shout or something. He must have done, or he was expecting someone. I don't know if he was expecting Cumming to be a bit further forward or what. What are you fucking doing, mate?
When you're not the last man, which he wasn't, either he didn't look behind him. If he got a shout, then that's Cummings' fault. But
it was.
We were lucky to get away with that.
When
we did gift them the goal,
which it was.
These are the mistakes that we haven't made all season, and we've made. If you say talk about Louis won the header on Saturday, and then his pass back towards the penalty area when he was facing that way, it would have been a bit more difficult for him to turn and play it out. But again, what was I screaming last season in the MKFM studio in the lockdown games? If in doubt, get it out.
Just get rid of it, you know. It's a bit odd, really, because, I mean, all joking aside, he has been brilliant this season. He really has. I mean, I've said it on here loads of times how good he was, but they have two mistakes that have led to goals, unfortunately, and, you know, we've lost those games. I mean, I ain't blaming him, even though it is his fault. I wouldn't say it to his face, obviously.
Again, it's about being programmed to play a certain way, and you wouldn't have him down as the sort of player who would have any self-doubt, because he doesn't really.
No, I wouldn't have thought so, no.
He's not the sort of player to doubt his own ability or his decision-making, but again, it just stands out more because it's him. And he will know that, I don't know what, as I say, I can't grasp what was going through his head, because Cumming was right on the 18-yard line, so the ball would have safely reached him.
Just going to him. Weird. I don't know. Like you say, I mean, it's, you know, they're split second, you know, decisions.
But again,
you've got
and
to
then
make, haven't you?
You can't legislate for goals like that when it went to Bannon.
Yeah, you know? No, you can't.
There's 22 players on the pitch.
Yeah.
Out of those 22, probably 3, and I don't know any of the other Sheffield Wednesday players, Bannon, Twine, and Parrott would have tried that.
Like you say, 9 times out of 10.
Our two lads definitely would have tried that.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, though, you're going to miss, aren't you? It's just that when it goes in that
it's going to be a player who
think,
doesn't have the confidence or doesn't even have the forethought of that. And I'm thinking, Bannon's there because he thinks he's not going to head this back, but I'll stand here anyway.
Just in case he does. Thanks
so
very much.
Players like that, he would have already thought that through. He's seen the ball coming over the top, and he's thinking, right, well, if he does head it, I'm here, and if I'm here, the goal is off his line. I'm going to have a pop, and it all comes together. But
just immensely disappointing what happened on Tuesday night after bloody Rotherham lost. You know, you just think,
well, yes, and Wigan drew as well, so there's drop points there. So basically it's pretty much all the same, really, isn't it?
Just the same as before kick-off, isn't it? You know, just ridiculous, really annoying, immensely annoying. You know, it really is. If we'd won those 2 games, but we didn't win them, so you can't turn around. Well, you can turn around and say it, but it's not going to change your history, is it? You can't go back and play those. You know,
looking at the fixtures, Rotherham's are not pretty. You know, they got Oxford at home.
That's not an easy game, that. We know that.
No, Oxford at home on Saturday. Then immediately after that, on the Tuesday, they got Sunderland away.
And Sunderland are desperate for away.
Yeah, away. They're at Sunderland, and Sunderland. I wouldn't say they're on fire, but they're doing all right for themselves. And then last game of the season, they've got Gillingham, who could be still fighting for their lives. So, but at the end, what it comes down to is whether we can get the 6 points that we have got left to get.
Yeah, we can't look at what they're doing because that's that one. That, it's just. I just hope our confidence isn't shot to pieces. You're hoping Manning can do something about it. He seemed quite calm about it,
if we play like we did in the first half on Saturday, we should win comfortably.
Hopefully,
if we avoid the mistakes, and again, we're looking at 2 games lost after a 15 unbeaten streak with next to no mistakes, and we've made 2 or probably 3 silly mistakes in 2 games that have cost us.
If this had happened, let's just say, I don't know, at Christmas time, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But the fact it's happened with like 2 games left, you think, oh, fuck's sake. Just really annoying, But that's football, isn't it? I mean, that's why you go,
It is,
isn't it?
and that's the way it is. Stuff, I'm just now thinking about the logistics of playoffs and if we get to Wembley, really, and it's all a nightmare. I'm too really old now.
I don't want to get into playoffs. I really don't. Well, we're in the playoffs. Something whatever happens, we either go up automatically or it's playoffs. But just not enthusiastic about that. I really not. Can't think of it. No, God, no. So this could be our time, couldn't it? I mean, we're due to win eventually, aren't we?
Yeah, and I say you really look at it. Morecambe, they're pretty much, they're not safe.
They're not safe. No, they could be mathematically. I can't remember what happened. I was listening to those young lads' podcast today at work, and all it was just
Fleetwood can catch them.
All right.
And Gillingham can catch her as well, obviously.
Well, they'd recorded that podcast last Sunday before they played on Easter Monday, so I'm not interested in what they do, to be quite honest. The guy was saying that by the time you listen to this, we could not mathematically be safe, but we could be more or less safe, but I don't know what happened. And I don't care, I only care about what happens on Saturday with them,
Yeah. So, I mean, we're more than capable and should win that game.
I mean, we beat them 4-0 away, didn't we? I'm sure it was 4-0, wasn't it?
I mean, it's at this point on Saturday, it's about getting the goal.
It is.
And then hopefully getting another one. I think the chances of pulling back the goal difference are gone.
Nah, it's gone, that, isn't it?
We're 7 goals worse off than Rotherham, so it's unlikely if we did finish on the same points as them at the end of the season, then we're not going to overhaul that 7 goals. But we looked all right. We was getting close to it, weren't we? But again, look at what a difference 2 weeks makes. It's
ever since we went to Wimbledon, isn't it? I mean, we were right off the game there. I think KKH, he was pretty bad at Wimbledon, and I thought he was next to Anonymous on Tuesday night against Oxford. I can't even remember.
I
don't know
like
what's
him.
happened to him.
I like a lot about him, and there's a lot I dislike because I'm putting it down to his youthful exuberance.
Yeah.
I always compare players like him to Daniel Powell, that they sometimes get a little bit overexcited and do things that you think, what are you doing that for? Why are you doing that?
Just be interesting to see who starts up front on Saturday. I can't think who that's going to be, to be quite honest, unless he moves Parrott into the middle. I don't know what to say.
Wickham is fit, then I can't.
I'll be honest.
I personally can't see him starting.
I will not bet my newly inherited house from that Ipswich guy on him starting on Saturday. I won't do that. Definitely not.
We should find out where
it is.
Try and get in touch with him.
I should do.
See what he's got to say
Get
about
some keys cut, obviously.
He texted us, didn't he? He didn't tweet.
Did he? Did he text it? Well, I still have that on me. With the station, wasn't it?
On the station, though, yeah.
Yeah,
but I got a feeling that Adam may not be making an appearance to hand over the keys to his front door, but.
I don't know what to say about Saturday. I don't even know what even a provisional lineup would be. I mean, Corbinou's not started, has he? Bringing him on.
He hasn't been that effective.
No, he hasn't
either.
been. No, not at all.
Again, I'm not a fan of him playing on the right either, which seems to be favoured by.
What he needs to do
Mane.
is he needs to stop all those step overs and all that kind of business and concentrate more on getting the ball
running past players,
where it needs to be.
Which is what he was doing when he first came here.
I mean, he's good at the old step overs, but he's not that good at it that that it's going to work every time, because blatantly it's not working every time, is it? I don't know what's happened to him either. He seems to have dropped right off, doesn't he? The pecking order as well,
Just go past the man and take him on. But no, I think we can discuss this all night about Saturday and then Plymouth, but I'm just going to let him get on with it, and I'm not going to try and second guess anything or formations or anything like that.
I'm quite sanguine about the whole thing. I've said it before. If we go up, it'll be fantastic. If we don't, that'll be annoying, but it won't be the end of the world for me the way it was, years ago. It just well, I mean, I'd obviously like to go up, obviously, but and I really don't want to go into the playoffs, but I think automatics, even though I've said we'll go up automatically since about December, I think maybe it's a bit of a stretch now, to be quite honest, But
yeah, I don't see. I just want it done with. Whatever happens, let's get on with it.
Yeah.
Rotherham, if we win both of our games, Rotherham need to drop. So we'd finish on 89. Rotherham need to drop 4 out of 9 points. Could they possibly? They could get 5 points. They could win 1 and draw 2. Yeah. So if they won 1 and drew 2, and we won both ours, we're up.
I mean, when they came to us like earlier in the season, they were phenomenal. You just think, oh shit, they're away here, but they've dropped off a cliff, haven't they? Them. I mean, we're saying how bad we are.
Lose, win, lose.
That's terrible, isn't it? I mean, we're talking about us losing form. Jesus, they've just had a meltdown, haven't they? Them.
Yeah, and this is the worrying thing. When you look down at the teams below the top 3, Sheffield Wednesday, win, draw, win.
Jesus.
Plymouth, all over the place, lose, win, draw. Wickham, back on form, win, draw. Sunderland, draw, win, draw. Oxford, 2 wins after their 3 losses in a row. So that's, I mean, Oxford are the big outsiders for the playoffs, obviously.
I would say Sunderland. Well, I mean, I don't know where Sunderland are, but I would.
Sunderland are 7th. The playoffs is us, Sheffield Wednesday, 4 points behind us.
Yeah.
Plymouth Argyle, same points as Sheffield Wednesday, 79. Wickham, 77. Sheffield Wednesday got a game in hand.
Have they?
The other 2 have played 44. Sunderland have got a game in hand, so they've got a possible 9 points to play for. And then you've got Oxford, 2 games to play on 75. So I'd say that's very much an outside chance there.
I don't know. I mean,
get playoffs, but
I mean,
they blew it with their losing 3 in a row anyway, didn't they?
I wouldn't like to face like Wednesday again. If in the playoffs, what can you say? To get in the playoffs, you don't get in the playoffs by accident, do you? You got to be good enough to do it. So it would be annoying, wouldn't it?
I mean, whether that's based on the table as it is, and assuming that we managed to finish at least 3rd, we would most likely be playing them at Wembley if we did get through a 2-leg playoffs, which we haven't yet managed to do.
Not done it yet, no.
After the 3 attempts. Is it 3 attempts? Shrewsbury,
Scunthorpe,
Peterborough and Scunthorpe. Scunthorpe? How crazy is that?
I know, are they not in the conference now?
Yeah, gone. 72 years. 72 years. That's, I mean, when Chesterfield went down and out, and Tranmere went out.
Notts County,
and Notts County. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy that teams like them should drop out. But there's got to be a reason for it. Luton, another one. I mean, I know they had points deducted.
Yeah.
But
there was extenuating circumstances. That wasn't just bad football. It was off-field nonsense for them, wasn't it? So,
yeah.
A bit like Derby, to be quite honest. Derby would have finished, I was reading today, if they hadn't had that thing, they would have been 17th at the minute. So,
yeah.
But I ain't bothered about
and they
them.
probably would have had a lot of better players as well.
Yeah, that's that.
Oldham could go as well. Oldham and Scunthorpe possibly. But Could be Stevenage.
Stevenage have eventually got to go, haven't they? Like the Wimbledon of League Two, and you just think, they've still
got 4 games to play.
Have they really?
Yeah.
Jesus, have they still got that Steve Evans as manager, or has he been sacked again?
Who? Steve Evans. He's only been there 10 minutes.
Well, you know what they're like.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost longer than Tisdale's last 2 jobs.
I've seen him on the telly. One of the games I watched, I don't know if it was ours or if it was the Rochdale game. He was sat in the stands being absolutely enormous. He's twice the man he used to be, and that's saying something for him.
Oh, he's a big lad.
He's
a big lad. He is.
I was trying to explain to my wife about his...
I don't know what to say, and I'd rather not. I'll go on Saturday, and
I'm looking forward to Saturday because it's a strange thing for me. And I was trying to explain it to someone today, like how much I really like football. But see, this time of the year, honestly, I just cannot wait for it to end. I've always think, oh, this is the last game. Thank fuck for that. And then from 2 weeks from now, I'll be thinking, oh, when does it? Oh no, not another month.
God, there's 10 weeks.
Not another month before it starts. You know, just
what
think.
Am I gonna do?
No.
I hate pre-season. But no, I agree. You know? Especially if you got nothing to play for. That end of season running is really the worst, isn't it?
It was a strange thing last year, wasn't it? Because we weren't there, were we? And things didn't look good. But this year, you know, I'm just thinking. You know, I was saying to my wife tonight. I said, "Well," she said, "Oh, how many podcasts have you got?" I said, "Well, 2, possibly 3." I said, "Unless we go into the playoffs, and then another 2 or 3." And I'm thinking, well, that's like another, 6 pods you've got to do. Just think, would you just get promoted? Well, I don't know. It is what it is. What can you say? Just a bloody nuisance.
I mean, we can look back on where points were lost, but
not Darling. Is it Darlington? I can't think. Not Darlington. Doncaster. Sorry, I mean that's the big one, isn't it? 6 points lost.
The two that stand out for me are losing to Doncaster and Shrewsbury in quick succession.
They're the ones.
Early in the season, but that's. It's gone, it's done. And as I've said before, Richie Barker used to say, don't think about the points where you've lost out. Look at the positives, the games that you won where you probably shouldn't have done.
Hang on, I've got a dog wandering in this room. The dog is not allowed. Talk, dog, I've got a dog in this room.
There's a dog in the room. Which one?
Where are you? A bloody dog wandering about. Flipping heck. Don't just let a dog wander about your house willy-nilly, do you? You got to keep an eye on those little fellas. You don't know what they could do on anything right on back. Sorry. Yes, the door's just slowly opened and she's such a small dog. I thought, what's going on here? There she was. Oh. Yeah, what were we talking about? Richie Barker. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, so you don't look at the results where you gain points rather than thinking about where you lost them.
Yeah, you can't look back. Like I said before,
Rotherham, Wigan, Wickham twice. So you could say, well, you look at those games and there's 9 points. There's 8 points probably gained.
Yeah, that you didn't think you were going to get.
Necessarily think we were going to get. Yeah, and then if you counterbalance them against the games where you think we shouldn't have lost that, like Doncaster, Shrewsbury, Doncaster again, maybe Tuesday to a lesser extent, but it probably does even itself out over the course of the season, and that's why the good teams get promoted and the teams that don't get those vital wins from what probably should have been a draw.
I think what people
do well,
and I mean, some people have been saying it on the internet. I think if you think back, how this season started, you just think to yourself, if anyone had said to you that, that day as you were walking out of Bournemouth, at the end of the season, you guys will be fighting for automatics. You would be thinking, right, okay.
Well, I was thinking about this today, actually. It's a good point, because I said I thought we'd get into the playoffs, but I didn't expect it to be possibly at the expense of automatic promotion.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be, in and out of the playoffs. Like the 3 or 4 teams are doing,
like Wickham,
Sheffield
kind
Wednesday,
of thing,
Sunderland, Oxford, Wickham. They're all changing places week on week and game by game. And Sheffield Wednesday were in the playoffs, then they were out again on Saturday. Now they're back in again. Wycombe, Sunderland, and Oxford were fourth a couple of weeks ago, right behind us, weren't they?
I
and
think
we were
Wycombe,
looking at them and thinking,
there was a point in the season where Wycombe were top, weren't they, for a little while, and now they've dropped right off.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's
been a strange old season. I mean, especially with the way it started for us, you know.
In the interview I did with Liam Manning, that I think this is the best League One I've ever seen.
Yeah, for a while it is.
And that's not just because of the teams that are in it, like Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday and Sunderland, Rotherham, who are in limbo between Championship and League One. Wycombe have come back a much better team. So there's 5 or 6 teams there already who you were worried about at the beginning of the season, and thinking we've got to finish. We've got to beat at least a few of these to get.
What I would say about League One this season is that the teams that are at the top are infinitely better, like footballing sides, than the ones at the bottom. I know that sounds a bit obvious, but the likes of let's just say Wimbledon. I mean, they've not won since I can't even think when they last won. And you think there's huge
since they moved to Milton Keynes, I think.
Yeah, I guess there's a huge gap, isn't there, between. And that's not really been a thing in League One before, has it? Where there's been the teams at the top are so much better than everyone else underneath them. If that makes any sense.
We say now that League One is much better. The standard of football from all the teams is much better, but it has been a bit of a regression this season when you think about basically split the league in half.
You
can't
can do, yeah.
So the top 12 teams. When you look at the top 12 now, you're looking at every single one of those and thinking, yeah, I wouldn't want to play them tomorrow. And then you've got the likes of Cheltenham, who've had a really good season. Burton have had a decent season. Shrewsbury came to us and didn't try and stop us playing football. They got played off the pitch, but fair play to them. They didn't try and stop us playing football. Lincoln have been off it this season, obviously, but another footballing team there. Even Fleetwood, and they're in the relegation zone. So
they've dropped right off, haven't you, Lincoln? They were half decent, weren't they, last year? And now this.
They were. They had a little bit of a run in the middle of the season, but now they've dropped back down, and they're not going to get relegated. But
when you think back when we restarted this podcast when we were in League Two, remember this football was just absolutely dreadful, wasn't it?
I mean, it was.
And that was only from us.
If we hadn't got promoted that season,
mate,
on the last day, could you imagine where we'd be now?
I know.
I dread to think where we'd be, who our manager would be.
I know.
I mean, on the plus side, had we not got promoted, there's a chance that Tisdale might have been sacked anyway. But to be in League Two as we were, and this is by no means a lack of humility or arrogance on my behalf when I talk about MK Dons, but we are not now a League Two team.
Not
I can't see us going back to League Two for the foreseeable future, because we are just the thought, the fact that we got relegated in the first place was beyond my comprehension. And I mean, we know why it happened.
It's not, yeah.
The wrong manager came in.
Yeah.
Then
bad decisions off the pitch.
A worse manager came in. There was it was just a horrible time. It was a horrible, horrible time. And although I'm pleased for the players in that squad that got promoted that season, I didn't take a lot of pride or joy out of getting promoted, because it was expected. The fact that it happened on the last day and we did that to Mansfield was a bit of a bonus. But
yeah, it was quite funny, and that woman was quite cross, was it?
Yeah, she was very cross. She was perfectly sane after the game. I saw her after the game. She was perfectly sane. I don't know what. God. So when people walk through those turnstiles, you just don't know what's going to.
But my point being was that there was some shit teams in League Two, but they were all pretty much of a muchness, weren't they? I mean, it's not like League One where, like we've said, the top half are so much better than the bottom half, whereas in League Two there were some right duffers, but the majority of them rocked up, stuck 11 men behind the ball and just sat there, didn't they? And it was terrible. Yeah. At least this year the football's been good to watch. And football's been brilliant.
As I say, I mean, Cheltenham are a really good example of a team that probably has spent most of their life in Division 4, but they've done really well this season. Cambridge.
Cambridge are the ones that have surprised me, to be quite honest, out of the whole league. You know, I mean, they're safe now, aren't they? You know, they are just safe.
They're absolutely safe. Yeah, I mean, the only other one that I thought would be up there this season was Bolton, who did have when they came to us, do you remember when they came to us and we were really, really worried, weren't we, about playing Bolton? But yeah, if you look, looking down that table from Wigan all the way down to Oxford, and Portsmouth can't get in the playoffs now, but after Oxford, you've still got Portsmouth, Bolton, Ipswich, Charlton. That's how good the teams are, or how big the teams are in this league now. And when you look at, Rotherham aren't as big as, probably not as big as Wigan, I suppose, but they're, the teams that are behind Wigan, Rotherham and MK Dons are Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth, Wycombe, not a big club, Sunderland, Oxford, Portsmouth, Bolton, Ipswich.
Portsmouth, what's happened to them? They've just gone, haven't they, as well? Another team, you don't even think about them, do you? You know,
they've taken root now, haven't they, in League
Seems
One?
to be.
I would hate to be. If I could choose any team, if I had to choose a team to never ever support, I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to be a Portsmouth fan, and I wouldn't want to be a Charlton fan, because it's just season after season of abject disappointment, isn't it?
I mean, we will do at the end of the season. We will do a retrospective, but I think overall this has been a good season of football. I've enjoyed the football. I've enjoyed going to the match.
I think and I would put this over and above the promotion season to the Championship. This is the best football. Certainly, the second half of the season is the best football I've seen an MK Dons team play.
I mean, you've got Lewington's
by some
Bar.
distance.
You know, I enjoy going up there. That's been good. I've enjoyed that. You know, going up there. I've enjoyed the match day experience infinitely. In fact, for me, this has been the best match day experience since I've been going to Milton Keynes. It really has, and that's purely down to that bar opening. I think, to be quite honest, you know, it really has. The football's been good. You know, it's just, I've enjoyed it. I mean,
it is nice to have a place where lots of Dons fans can go, and you can actually sit down.
And you can have a chat and stuff.
You can have a seat. You can see a TV screen. You can watch some football. Everybody. I mean, I love it there. I think I
really like going there. I think well done to DSA for doing that.
DSA, Colin have done
they've done brilliantly with that.
Brilliant job with that.
They've really, really good job. I'm a cynical guy and I like a laugh, but I think that's a brilliant place. It really is, you know.
It is, and it didn't take much.
No,
I'd say it didn't take much effort.
It didn't take much from me because I didn't do fuck all.
Did, but the space was always there. The club had always said, "This is what we're going to do with it." But in the back of my mind, I always thought to myself, well, you're not, are you? Because it's a very, very low priority. Yeah. Because it's going to cost you money to do it. But Colin and the DSA have gone in there and they've made some what are fairly simple arrangements.
I mean, there's been some rubbish things, hasn't there?
I mean, what do you need? You need a bar, you need seats, you need TVs. That's it. Pretty much it. That's all you need, and they've done that, and they've done it really well. And I mean, I don't think anybody's even noticed that the red dot bar has been taken away from the football club. I don't know. No one's even noticed. You know, the arena was great because it was so roomy, but there was never anywhere to sit.
Yeah, never. I didn't enjoy that. I didn't like going there.
But again, if they'd have put out when they did the World Cup and they got out all the tables, you know, that was good. And that's all it takes is seat, pint, telly. Job done. You know.
I mean, there has been some rubbish things. People have forgotten all about the ticket debacle at the beginning of the season. That's completely gone. No one remembers that, do they? You know, I mean, it was the season ticket nonsense. No one remembers that.
I'm absolutely on the side of the fans with that, and I don't think I've mentioned it before, but I did have quite a vocal argument with a certain box office manager about that in the pub one night after
And then
a game.
there was also the when we played Spurs pre-season, remember? Some people were getting in about 20 minutes after it had kicked off. It was all that.
Yeah,
I mean, you forget about that, don't you?
That's a combination of things. It's the strange thing about the Spurs game is it wasn't generally any ticketing issues. That was just a Tuesday night game or an evening game where everybody turns up at the same time. You can literally, like clockwork, you can stand at any of the gates at the stadium on the Tuesday night. At 14 minutes past 7, you'll have one or two people coming in. The second the clock hits 7:15, it's just bang, absolutely rammed.
Yeah, there was extenuating circumstances with that, wasn't there? You know, there was obviously agency, stewards that had never stewarded a football game, but you forget all about that, don't you? I mean, I've just started, we will talk about
those sort of things. Because no one actually knows. Well, I know what happened, and the club know what happened on that evening. But the fact remains is that it was an absolute disaster.
It was, yeah.
And you have to look at that and say, so if there weren't any ticketing issues, if there were no issues with the tickets themselves, what was the issue? And again, they'll make the same mistake next season if we have a similar game at the stadium. The same thing will happen. And it's something as silly as, and this is absolutely true, and you can laugh if you like.
Go on then.
But the problem with particularly at Gate 5, which is the busiest gate by an absolute mile.
That's the one I use every week.
The turnstiles are in the wrong place. If the turnstiles were laid out from left to right, rather than in a line as you walk in, it would ease the congestion so much quicker because people naturally go to the first available turnstile and then people will queue behind them. So at any given point, there's at least 4 turnstiles not being used because people will stop behind the person that is in front of them at a turnstile, leaving the other 4 unattended.
And then
Whereas if you had them lined out left to right, people will naturally go to the next one because they can see it. And it sounds silly, but trust me, I stood on Gate 5 for the first half of the season and I watched very carefully what the issues were. And there were no issues whatsoever with digital tickets. Tickets on phones work perfectly. Screenshots, we worked out very quickly. All you need to do is turn the brightness up on your phone.
That's right.
There were issues with certain barcodes on printed home tickets, which eventually got resolved. But I watched the bottleneck, and it's ridiculous. English people, British people.
Oh, people love queuing, don't they?
Will queue for everything.
Join a queue just to see what's at the end.
I would say for at least 60-70% of the time after it got really busy, in fact probably a lot more, there were 4 turnstiles not being used. And that's what causes the logjam.
I just snipped round
I've passed this information on to the club and told them my thoughts, but the long and short of it is the turnstiles are in the wrong place, and the turnstiles that are to the left and the right of Gate 5 don't get used after the gates officially open anyway.
I just nipped round beside me to the 2 that take you up to Lewington's. I've never had to queue going in that side. Just nip round the corner into the 2 that take you up the stairs, and I'm straight in. That's what I do. Yeah,
I don't know why they don't get opened.
God knows. But
people can just go upstairs and then come back down again.
Right,
who
let's
knows? I don't know. But
wind this up. We'll have a bit of a prediction for Saturday, and then that'll be it.
Yeah, I'm going straightforward 4-0.
Really, I don't. I'm going 1-0 to be quite honest. Really, my confidence is shot to bits.
Oh no, we should. If we play like we normally do, we should win that game relatively
easily.
I
mean, we did.
That reminds me, if you are the father of the 2 flat caps, strawberry blonde whiz, come to the studio straight after the game, please, and we will let you in. And the lad with all the signs, if you're listening or your parents are listening, same for you.
I've just thought of something about Saturday. Will they not be doing a lap of honour after the game?
There will be a lap of honour, yes, but
that's bad for us.
If it's anything like last, I mean, I always laugh when people say, the club don't tell the fans what's happening, but I've been going to football for 40 odd years, and there's always a lap of honour after the last home game. Am I right?
Oh, almost, eh?
Always, wherever you go, no matter where you are, if it's an away game or a home game, there is always a lap of honour by the home team after the final whistle. So I don't get why people are asking that, because it happens regardless. It always happens, and they always go back to the changing room first and then come back out.
I think that's always the issue, isn't it? People expect them, as soon as the final whistle goes, to start walking around the edge of the pitch clapping everyone.
I did have a great analogy for that. I can't remember what it was. So, like, you know, if someone goes out of sight, does that mean that they're not coming back?
Someone like
that. Where's he gone? He's not here. Let's go home. Mm. But no, I mean, again, it's
annoying for people that have to be in a radio station, Tony. Obviously,
well, it is, because you never know. I mean, if you want to, I tell you what, here you go, and we'll probably be sacked off the MKFM for saying this now. If after the final, the lap of honour, if you happen to be wandering past the studio, give us a tap on the window,
and we'll studiously ignore you.
We'll studiously ignore you, or help you, let you in, and hope that you behave yourself if you want to come on.
Upstairs he could make an appearance, because he's obviously the only guy that listens.
How does he do it, though?
God knows.
Because
he must do it on your phone. You can stream it, can't you?
But fair play to him. He always contributes.
It's like him off. He contributes every week. Nothing without the fans, Tony. Nothing. Right, that's me done. I'm finished now.
Yes, indeed. So so if you are father of those two boys, or the lad with the
signs,
the signs, give us a knock. We want to have you on. As you've
Speaking
been
about the wireless,
pretty much every game this season
will be our last radio show of this season. So
yes, it will. It will indeed.
Really flown past, hasn't it, this year? It really has.
Yeah, but you always say that at the end of the season. At Christmas, you're thinking, "Oh God,
will it never end? Will this ever end?
Will this agony never end?
Can we not just call it now? Right, I'm done now. Yeah. Right, we'll be back next week, where we'll have beaten them either 1-0 or 4-0.
Or it can be. Yeah.
Right, we'll see you next week then. See ya.
Bye.